Today, we're going to open a door to a lost world, a tradition in Cairo that lasted 500 years, only to vanish within a single decade. And we're going to see it all through the eyes of a man who was there for its final, fading moments. Now, this isn't a story from some dusty old history book. We're telling it through the really vivid, personal memories of an artist named Esmat Dawestashy. For him, the end of this 500-year-old tradition wasn't just some historical event. As he put it, it was a paradise lost. So, let's start at the beginning. Our story kicks off in a place that, to a young boy, must have felt like heaven on earth. The Bektashi tekke, this incredible oasis perched right on Cairo's Mukattam mountain. Dawestashy remembers it as a total sensory feast. I mean, picture this, a self-contained universe of history, nature, and spirituality, all set against this barren mountain with a panoramic view of Cairo. You've got dervishes speaking Turkish, visitors chatting in French and English, and the sound of prayer always in the air. But his first real encounter with the man at the center of this world, well, it was anything but serene. It all started like a lot of childhood stories do, with a little bit of mischief. Dawestashy and his buddy, who just so happened to be the Sheikh's nephew, they stumble upon the Sheikh's prized pepper garden, and in a fit of pure childhood glee, they eat the entire crop. So, to the boys, this was just a fun game. But for the Sheikh, it was a total catastrophe. His favorite harvest, just gone. And this whole incident led to young Esmat's first real face-to-face meeting with the formidable leader of this paradise, an authority figure who he described as, and I quote, a big and frightening thing. So who was this formidable man? He was Ahmed Sırrı Baba, the very last sheikh of the Bektashi order in Egypt. And look, he wasn't just some local figure. This guy was an internationally recognized spiritual leader. In fact, in 1949, Bektashi leaders from all over the world gathered in Cairo and elected him as the global head of the entire order. So his tekke, it became a crossroads for the world's elite. Yeah, this was not some isolated monastery. The lodge was this vibrant cultural and political hub. I mean, you had kings like Farouk of Egypt and the exiled King Zogu of Albania, who were regular visitors. But you also had movie stars, poets, and international scholars, all of them drawn to this really unique spiritual center. And this is exactly why personal accounts like Dawestashy's are so incredibly valuable. They help us correct the historical record. For decades, all these myths were swirling around Sırrı Baba. People said he died abroad, but Dawestashy confirms no, he was buried right there in Cairo. Rumors said he had both legs amputated. In reality, it was one foot because of his diabetes. And far from being some recluse, he was deeply connected, running a place where, as Dawestashy remembers, the sounds of prayer never ever stopped. But as you can probably guess, this vibrant world was really living on borrowed time. A political earthquake was about to shake its very foundations. The year is 1952. The Egyptian revolution topples the monarchy, and a brand new wave of Arab nationalism, led by Gamal Abdel Nasser, sweeps across the country. So what did that mean? Well, the new regime was deeply suspicious of any community that had foreign ties. And the Bektashi, whose members were mostly of Turkish, Albanian, and Circassian descent, suddenly found themselves a target in this new political climate. And it wasn't a single event. The state systematically dismantled their world, piece by piece. First, their sacred land was declared a military zone. Then, in 1957, came the eviction, forcing them out of a home they'd known for generations. And where did they move? To a converted stable. Finally, the state seized their centuries-old endowments and all their priceless historical treasures. So now you have Sırrı Baba, living in a shadow of his former world, watching his entire tradition just fade away. But he had one last desperate hope. In the summer of 1962, Sırrı Baba, who was really sick with severe diabetes at this point, he makes this life-altering proposal to a 19-year-old Esmat Dawestashy, who was just in Cairo for his art school entrance exams. I mean, think about that. With almost all the other dervishes having already left the country, the entire future of this ancient order in Egypt rested on the shoulders of a teenager whose dream was to be an artist, not a sheikh. And Dawestashy said no. That decision, it marked the definitive turning point. He chose his future in art over a past that was quickly vanishing. It was the exact moment the old world gave way to the new, and a 500-year-old lineage in Egypt finally came to an end. You know, when you lay it all out like this, it's just a stark reminder of how quickly centuries of history can just completely unravel. In just a little over a decade, a community that had existed for half a millennium was, for all intents and purposes, erased from the country. So what happens when a world like this just disappears? What's actually left behind? After his death in January 1963, all the treasures of the tekke, the antique weapons, the priceless carpets, the art that Dawestashy remembered so vividly, they just vanished. It's reported they ended up in the homes of powerful officials. The physical place is gone. The community is gone. The treasures are gone. All that's left are these fragments, stories, like Dawestashy's, passed down from the very few who still remember. But in the end, Dawestashy offers this really powerful idea. He says that while the physical tekke is lost, that inner sanctuary it represented, that place for reflection, for spirit, for retreat from the world, that remains inside all of us. It's a legacy of a world that has vanished, but whose spirit, maybe, can still be found.